So hello and welcome. I'm Frederick Dunn, and this is the way to be. Now I'm showing you my backyard here. But look what's going on. Lots of snow. Big flakes. It's a great time to be outside, actually. It's a great time to find silence in nature. We're going to talk about a few things in this video. But I wanted you to show you my property a little bit here. And what we're seeing now happened several days ago. But the snow didn't stop. And some things changed. Not only has the snow continued to fall, but the winds are picking up. So by the end of this video, you're going to see that we are in blizzard conditions. So what's going on in these beehives? Well, the bees are clustered and they're hanging out. They're consuming honey and they're staying warm. There may even be some brood in there, and that would be baby bees. Some of these hives are insulated, some are not. And if you see the heavy snow on top of those hives, that's a good thing. Snow around the hives, also a good thing. There's a lot of air in those snowflakes, which means they insulate our hives against the temperatures that are coming now. So let's take a look around the property and I'll show you what it looks like. Some of the trees that we have. We have wildlife here, all kinds of wildlife. You can hear a turkey in the background. We have coniferous trees out there which provide fantastic shelter for birds and other wildlife. We also have fruit-producing trees. We have Washington hawthorns, prairie fire crabs. We have apple trees. Of course, the apples have all fallen off of them, but the squirrels have collected some of those apples and stuck them on little branches and twigs to dry them out. The footprints there are mine. We have deer that walk through every night. There are little mice that scoot around at night as well. And then, of course, birds of prey. What chance does a bird of prey have of catching a mouse or a vole, or even a shrew? Not very good this time of year because they've made their tunnels under the snow and they are protected. And the snow shelters wildlife as well from that cold wind. Now the honeybees, being inside a hive, they're sheltered as well because the sides of the hive prevent air from gusting through. They don't need to fly anyway. What would a bee be flying out for this time of year? Not much. If anything, if it warmed up suddenly, which may happen next week, the bees will be out getting water. They need water all year round. But being that the snow is not melting right now, they can't go outside to get it, so why would a bee fly out? Well, they'd fly out to go to the bathroom. They're called cleansing flights. They fly out and they ditch into the snow. And some people that are new to beekeeping are really bothered by that. But the thing of it is, there are leftover foragers and there are older bees in a hive. And they may be flying out on purpose and removing themselves from the hive so that they don't just die in there. Others on a warm day might fly out, deposit some of their waste material, and be fortunate enough to fly back. These fruit trees don't offer anything to the bees this time of year. Not just that. At other times of the year, honeybees only forage for a couple of weeks. They only live for about 6 weeks. But now that winter's here, do you know they have produced another caste of honeybee inside the hive? We call them fat-bodied winter bees. Those can live for 6 months. Maybe a little more, maybe a little less. But depending on how well they were fed while they were developing, they last a long time, and they can take care of some winter brood inside a hive. That's right. The queen may lay eggs, and there may be brood, even when the weather outside looks like this, and even though there may be weeks ahead before they can go out and bring in new resources. So they've stored honey. In some cases, they've stored more than 100 pounds of honey in a single beehive. So as beekeepers, we look at those hives and we see how much they have and how many bees are residing inside the box we've put them in. If it's not enough, we put a little extra on. We might put supplemental feed on top of the hive. This way the bees, just the way nature provides all of these fruits that are hanging from the trees and nuts and berries, birds forage for those, bees can forage inside their hive. All they have to do is make it to their stored honey. They may have some pollen left inside their hives as well that's been turned into what we call bee bread, which can give them some protein, which they need if they're developing new larvae and bees. But what they really need is sucrose. They need sugar. They need carbohydrates. They need honey that they've stored because that's the energy that they need to do the tasks inside the hive. So the beekeeper needs to leave enough on so that they can endure conditions like this. And notice the different hives we have. A lysine hive on the right, super insulated. A wooden hive in the middle, only 3/4 of an inch of pine. And the hive on the end there was an apiary, insulated with polystyrene and clad with plastic. This is a layens hive. That's right, there's bees living in that. It's insulated with sheep's wool. This is another layens hive, and they're well off the ground. You think there's a lot of heat passing through those covers? No. They're insulated, and that's why the snow stays on top. You want to see if someone's roof on their house has poor insulation? See how much snow is melting and look for icicles. Uninsulated roofs let too much warm air out, and there's ice damming and icicles and problems. This is an apiary hive. It has a little vent through the top. That's just built in. What you don't see is the entrance. It's below snow level. That's actually not a problem, even in conditions like this. And what we're looking at now is the blizzard that was promised. We're in the running for the deepest snow of the year. Where am I located, you may be wondering. I'm in the state of Pennsylvania. I'm in the aptly named snow belt. This is another layens hive, insulated with sheep's wool. It's full of bees. For comparison, here's a hive that has an insulated inner cover on it. Lots of snow around it, 3/4 inch pine all the way around the sides, and a single entrance facing away from us. It looks like their entrances are buried in snow, and they kind of are. But the bees don't need to go anywhere right now. And the tiniest air gap in the bottom of a hive or near an entrance or through a bottom board is all they need. Look at these hives over here. None of these are insulated except on top. So this is a really good proving ground, isn't it? We get the wind, we get the cold, we get the snow, and we get that winter dearth. In other words, nothing for the bees to get outside, although if we had a warm-up, they would certainly be seen on their landing boards collecting water from melting snow. These wind gusts that you're looking at are in the 50s. 36 miles per hour. This hive, the lay-ins, is just sitting on a stand with 3 bricks on top. What's keeping it there? It's not strapped, but it has over 70 pounds of honey in it, and those don't generally budge at all. Other hives, like the flow hive over there, is strapped down. The keeper's hive in the distance on the left there, it's also strapped down, although it's pretty heavy. Take a look at these tall nucleus hives, the one on the end there, insulated cover, and the rest is just open. It's got bricks on it. I bet these bees will be just fine when spring arrives. If you're looking for a hive that is really weatherproof, that can handle a storm and be thumped around and things can bang into it and it not come apart, look to the left there, that's an apiary. That one's been in service for a while and it doesn't vent through the top anymore because the bees propylized it up. Honeybees don't want any of their warm air getting out through the top. They want to control it through the entrance. In the middle there, we've got some of the premier boxes. Got one on the bottom there. That has a lot of propolis in it, which doesn't provide any thermal advantage, but it provides a hygienic advantage. This little frog sitting there wondering why it's out in the snow. Because someone painted it on there. That's why. This hive is nice and tall, so what I want you to notice is some of these hives are sheltered from wind. Some of them are not. 50, 55. The forecast says 60-mile-an-hour winds are going to be hitting these hives tonight. So I don't think that's going to do too much to them because I haven't seen a huge advantage to having them in a sheltered area. Because when you put up a barricade around your beehives and it blocks the wind, which comes out of the west here, these are solitary bees, mason bees. But my exposed hives do just as well as the ones that are sheltered by big trees like that evergreen there, or buildings. And one of the things that happens when you put up a big barricade around your hive, where's the sun in the wintertime? It's down low. And the sun doesn't get to your hives if you put barricades around them. So it's a trade-off. Just make sure your hives are sitting together well. Make sure there's no gaps. You'll notice the entrances have a tiny opening, and you can check that out for dead bees. If there are any dead bees in your entrances, you're going to want to clear those out of the way. When the warm weather comes, bees need to get out to do those cleansing flights. The fat-bodied winter bees don't leave the hive. They're the living insurance policy nurse bees that can take care of new brood even when nothing new is coming through the entrance of the hive, so they can feed off of the honey that's stored. That building in the background has 3 observation hives in it. It is an unheated building, and they're alive. So some of the hives are insulated, some are not. Some are sheltered from wind, and some are not. Some have emergency feed on top of the inner cover, and some do not. So the emergency feed that's on these hives is a fondant. Specifically, it's Hive Alive Fondant. And if the bees need it, they'll be up there and they'll consume it. Look at the hive, second from the right there. You can see a little dark spot on the landing board. That's the entrance. The entrance is still open because the bees kept it that way. The fifth hive from the left has a copper plate in front of its entrance. That's to reduce it to 3/8 of an inch because it's been visited by mice almost every single night. They can't get in, but the mice are eating the dead bees. That doesn't bother me at all. So here we are again with the full speed, full wind, full load. What if one of these hives flips over in the snow? I don't think that's going to happen, but if it did, make sure before you run out there to stand it up. You pull your hive together. If you have straps on it, you'll keep the boxes from coming apart. Last year, 2 hives flipped over in storms. We put them back together, we put them back on their stands, and they made it till spring. So don't worry about it. You've done your part. They've got the honey that they need. You've got an emergency resource on. Your hives are in good shape. They're in good positions, and they're strapped down. I'm pretty sure they're going to make it. Thanks for watching.